Hey guys, welcome to the Rushdown review for Relayer for PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. This game was developed by Kadokawa Games and published by Clouded Leopard Entertainment. Alright, so let's jump right into the review and talk about the story. The story of Relayer is basically humanity is on the brink of complete annihilation by this crazy, maniacal alien race called Relayers. Relayers are aliens from a distant part of the universe, and their primary objective is to destroy all of mankind existence within the universe. So they've come to this part of the Milky Way and they're like, oh, okay, humans are here, let's destroy all of them. So the way they do it is that they go to different planets and they cause a gravity loss event, which pretty much, as you expect, gravity completely dissipates in this particular area and people just float into space and the whole world itself cracks and opens and it just destroys it. So yeah, gravity loss events are pretty awful. So what we're doing here on Earth is trying to stop them by using what we call Starchildren. Starchildren pretty much are these special kids who are able to manipulate gravity and pilot these pretty huge mechs called stellar gears. Now, each child is basically the will of a different constellation or celestial body. So our main character is the will of Earth, and she doesn't have any special abilities outside of being able to pilot stellar gears. But the main thing about every star child is based on a particular constellation or celestial body. So you have all the planets, and you have different constellations like Milky Way, Lights of Orion, Halley's Comet, things like that. And every single one of them has kind of an ability based on whatever celestial body they have the will of. And they're extremely special kids, and they're the hope for humanity. So if you play things like Xenogears, or you've watched any type of mecha anime like Gundam especially, you're pretty much familiar with this type of story. Starchildren are pretty similar to new types, or who are the coordinators or innovators in the Gundam series. They're really similar to just about any anime where they make the pilots of these mechs really special. And so in this particular game, our quest is to find all the Starchildren, of course, and let them help us repel the Relayers. Now, Relayers can use things called repulsive energy, which is kind of like the opposite of gravity energy, but they both combine together to create dark matter. So that's kind of like the yin and yang of the storyline. There's a lot of like political intrigue. There's like people trying to stop it, and there's people on Earth who are doing their best to, like, you know, stop a conspiracy from being uncovered. I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it does have some cliche moments, and it does have some things like, oh, you've heard this before, but I think that was done pretty well. I really enjoy a lot of the character interactions. The storylines are pretty good. There's some really good story plot elements and story beats that they do tie up in the end of the game, which I thought was really good. I really enjoyed the story. Only thing I didn't really care for as far as story is, like, the villains are really cartoonish. Like, they have like the most cartoonish like personalities, and like they're so like they could have done a little bit better to give the villains or the Relayers a personality. I know they're aliens, but like they felt like, I am a villain. It's just like, whoa, calm down. And it kind of took me out of it sometimes. Like, I really didn't feel like any of the villains were really like menacing or memorable. I feel like all the villains in the game are pretty much like throwaways. I will say that all the heroes and characters and NPCs are really well done, especially like the core Starchildren that you do acquire. Those are really good. Like, there are some really good characters here, some really good personalities. There's some that are kind of flat too in the character department as well, but I think overall the game does a really good job of putting you in this situation and what comes about it, and the trials that come from all of the different challenges that come with this story. And I really enjoyed how the game progresses. There are some parts that feel like filler. It's like an anime. It's very anime inspired, so there are gonna be filler episodes. There are gonna be episodes that are really like, okay, this is about the main plot. But yeah, there's some couple of things that weren't quite explained very well, but they do pay off in the very end of the game, which I did like. But yeah, overall, I love the story. I was definitely tearing up at the end when the final couple of acts were done, but it is a trog to get there. Like, there's some sluggish areas in this game what could have been cut. I think if they cut some of the filler parts of this game, it would have made the story a lot better, a lot tighter, but I guess they wanted to like pad it a little bit more so it can like fill it out completely. But yeah, because I think some of the padding and some of the filler didn't really it didn't have anything to do with the main story, and there was a lot of things I wish they would have like expounded on, like the relayers, like where they come from, their origin. There was no real origin story about the relay. They exist, and that's just it. And you're supposed to just go with it. And I just wish there was a little bit more explanation when it comes to a lot of that stuff. And also some characters too, like they just really don't go in depth about certain people. They just appear, and that's it. They're there. So you just kind of like accept that that's kind of like what they do with the story. So yeah, I wish they would have fleshed out some characters a lot more, and definitely took out some of this filler. Because there was definitely some parts of the game, a lot of plot points, like this could have just been cut out. This is just unnecessary. But yeah, overall I did really enjoy the storyline for this game. Alright, let's talk about the gameplay. This is probably where this game shines the very most. I enjoyed the gameplay a lot for, I would say, a good 80% of the game. There are some times where I was like, oh my god, this is like just dragging on and on and on. But for the most part, I would say a good chunk of this game, they do a good job of making sure that the tactical part of this game is still fun and engaging, but not like sluggish and takes forever to like get a battle done. The gameplay loop is you fight a battle, then you go through a long scenario of cutscenes, and when I want to say cutscenes, more so like dialogue. So it's like dialogue, then fight, dialogue, fight. That's pretty much the overall game loop, which I enjoy because it kind of keeps you on your toes, lets you know what's going to come next. There's no real surprises. As far as like actual combat, it's really fun. It's your typical strategy RPG, type of affair. Every character has their particular role they play. It does have job system in this game as well. Every character has a specific job tree they can go through, but I'll go into about the job system a little bit later. So you get your mech and you're all suited up, you're ready to go, and you battle against all of the enemy forces, and it's a pretty standard JRPG turn-based tactical RPG style. You move in a different square, then you attack or whatnot. You can defend, you can use special attacks, you can use special skills, and that's basically it. There's no real gimmicks here. It's very straightforward. It's very like tactical army type of stuff going on here. There's no real gimmicks. Like I know some RPGs have like gimmicks and stuff. This is very like bare bones when it comes to like the actual combat itself, which isn't a bad thing because the flashiness comes in with the actual like when you're actually attacking the enemy and stuff. That's where the flashiness comes in, because they have like cutscenes for every individual encounter in the game, which I thought was pretty amazing. Like there's over 100 cutscenes, so it looks really good. Like I would say for a smaller company, like they were able to make this game visually just stunning as far as combat's concerned. And it goes by pretty quick for the most part. I mean, it does get like old after a while. I think once I got to like the maybe hour 40 or 44 towards the end of the game, I turned the cutscenes off. Like, okay, I can get through this battle, because some of the battles were really long. Like you're going up against like 15 to 20 different enemies on a battlefield at one time. So it can get a little like tedious to keep watching those cutscenes after every single attack. But in the beginning of the game, it's great. It's like, oh my god, this is incredible, and you just kind of wait to see which one's next, and it's really fun in that aspect. They don't have a paper rock scissors system in this game. It's more so just based on, are you a physical type or are you a gravity type? Those are only two like differentiations, and then each individual unit has their own special like capability. Like there's a sniper, there's a heavy tank, there's a fighter, there's a medic, there's a saboteur, your usual stuff. There's nothing really like out of the ordinary when it comes to like the job classes in this game, and as far as that's concerned. So it's really down to very much so strategy and being on top of what's going on. You don't lose characters if they die, so none Fire Emblem like permadeath stuff, which is great because you gotta eat everybody, which is good. One thing I didn't like was the fact that there's no revive in this game at all. So like if you're in battle and you die, that's it. They're just out for the rest of the whole battle, which sucks because I want to revive my people. That would be great. So yeah, that's like one of my small niggles with the combat. But the combat's really fun, really engrossing, visually stunning, just visually like really engrossing, and I really enjoyed the combat in this game. It does get a little stale towards the end because you're fighting a lot. Like this game has I think 40 battles, and some of those battles can range from taking 1 minute to taking like almost 2 hours. I believe my last battle with the final boss took an hour and 30 minutes to complete. It was grueling. It was very taxing on my brain. Like I was like, oh my god, is this thing ever gonna die? Finally it did. They do have 3 different difficulties, so if you think the game's too easy on normal, you can just push it up to hard. I played on normal for like a good 80% of the game, but the last 10 hours I definitely turned it to easy because it was just like a slug. I mean, it was just like going on and on. There were just so many battles after battle after battle. I was just like so tired. So yeah, by that point I was like, okay, I'm tired. Let's just put it on easy. And it was still challenging even towards the end. Like, I know the last boss, I can't even imagine playing it on normal or even hard. Like, that boss fight was grueling. I can't even imagine how crazy it was towards the end. Oh, I do want to talk about leveling up. So when I originally played, I thought the only way to level up really or get like a decent amount of experience was killing enemies, which I was very wrong. You get, I think the XP you get is proportional to what you do in battle. So even if you're healing, if you do like a massive heal, you'll get almost the same amount of experience, or just about almost the same amount of experience if you kill the enemy. And most of the time you only get experience where you're killing enemies that are at above your level too. If you're killing like enemies that are lower to you, you're gonna get like maybe 2 or 3 experience, but not a whole bunch. So the objective in this game to level up really quickly is to do actions every turn and make sure your actions are significant. That way you'll level up pretty quick, because this game does rank up the difficulty really, really quick. Like at the beginning of the game, like, okay, you need to be at level 7 for this particular stage, or level 8 is recommended. Then as you go on, it's like, okay, now you need level 40, and it's like, okay, the next one's like 45, the next one's like 53, like, so it can keep revving it up more and more. So you have to make sure you're consistently leveling up. They do have a simulator in the game, so you can actually go level grind, but level grinding can be difficult if you don't understand how the system works. I didn't in the beginning, so it took me a while to kind of like get my character up to the right level. But yeah, every action is important. Just standing still is not considered something good, so always do something. Even if it's just like healing yourself or buffing yourself, everything counts, and it's really important in order to like progress in the game. Alright, let's talk about the job system. The job system for this game, I think, is okay for the most part. It's really bare bones. It's not like a whole lot going on with it. You get your base class, and then you're able to, as you progress to the second stage, you're able to choose between 2 different routes. And then of course you get your third class, which is like your final part of your route. There's only 2 routes, so not that much of a decision making. It makes like either or. But one thing I didn't like about that is that you're pretty much stuck with everyone you choose. So it kind of sucks. You don't know where you can cook in the beginning. You actually don't know the end classes going to look like and what they can do. So you're kind of like guessing which one you should choose for each individual character. And sometimes you guess wrong, and like the class that you choose for them isn't probably the best one that suits their talents. So that kind of threw me off. I would wish there would have been a way to like undo it and start from over for a lot of classes for characters. But yeah. One thing I did notice is that the classes don't have specific, like once you get to the next class, it doesn't give you a huge boost in like your stats, which I thought was a little like meh, because the classes are just basically there to harbor your abilities and skills. That's pretty much all they're used for. Outside of that, there's no real like stat boost or anything like that that you get from different classes. Like most games like this, if you get a different class, your stats will also change accordingly. They kind of do in this game, but just not a lot. The only way you can do that is once you progress through the Star Cube, which I'll go into in a bit. But I wasn't too happy with the fact that you don't really know where you're gonna go, and then if you go wrong, there's no real way to like undo it. Especially in a game like this, you're spending about a good 40 hours, so you invest all this time into a character and you end up picking the wrong class for them, and then you're just stuck with it, and then the character just kind of sucks. So yeah, I didn't really care for that too much. But overall, it's a pretty simple, straightforward system to the classes. It definitely dictates the weapons you can use, of course, the equipment you can get, the different abilities you get, and just overall how they will perform in battle. Let's talk about the Star Cube. That's pretty much another really important component to the job system. So the Star Cube is pretty much this game's version of the Crystallium from Final Fantasy 13. Each node has a particular amount of JP it takes. You get JP when you're in battle. Actually, you only get JP when you level up. Otherwise, you don't get any JP at all. So if you're not leveling up, like I said earlier, leveling up is really important. If you're not leveling up your character, you won't get any JP at all. So you won't be able to like completely advance the character's Star Cube. So one thing that I don't really like about the Star Cube is that while it is a little chaotic looking and also a little hard to read in certain places, the fact you have to go through each individual node is really taxing. Like, if you want to go from a space and advance pretty further, and you're like, okay, I want this particular skill that's further away, and it's like different nodes between there. You can't just go to the furthest one and just click that and say, okay, I want everything in between there. No, you have to go through each individual one, pick it, click it, and use your points on each one before you get to the one you actually want. So you're sitting there doing that for every single character. Now, where it comes in that's really bad is when you get new characters and they have nothing done. So you have to pretty much start from scratch with them. You gotta do that for every single character. So late game, you're getting like 4 and 5 characters that have nothing done, and they don't even tell you that in the game. Like, they're just like, oh, okay, here they are. So you have to just kind of like be mindful of their Star Cube and what's been done already. Their base one is usually done when the time they come to you, but once like later on, like, yeah, you don't have anything done for them, and they're like on their base class, which is weird because when they're a guest and when they're like a guest ally in some fights, they're already done. Like, their actual Star Cube is complete. But when it comes to you, I guess they want you to have your own, you know, individual like control over the characters where they progress. But I would prefer like characters that come late game, have them already done, because I don't want to sit there and have to spend like 20-30 minutes just going through each individual node and like getting their Star Cubes together. Like, that just because I mean, they dropped like 4 characters on me and they like none of them were done. I'm like, oh god, I gotta sit here and do this for like 30. I think I spent like an hour almost trying to get every character Star Cube done. They have like a whole bunch of points because they've been building up since they've not been in battle, but just having to do that over and over again was just so taxing. I didn't appreciate that. So yeah, wasn't a fan of how the Star Cube was implemented in this game. Definitely could do some better things to make it a lot easier and just make it not as taxing and tedious. Cause boy, having to do that Star Cube with all these characters was on my nerves. Like, I spent a good hour just trying to like do it for characters that came in at the last minute. Like, you have a lot of like late game characters that kind of come in, and you have to pretty much like progress all of them yourself. So definitely wasn't a fan of that. Star Cube is definitely something that I love the idea, but if they were gonna like be inspired by Final Fantasy 13 with this idea, they should have taken more notes from them. Because I think in 13 you don't have to like go through each different node. You just go to wherever you want to go, and if you have enough points, it'll let you just go through all of them, and you don't have to worry about doing it every so often. So yeah, wasn't a fan of that, but the idea is cool. It looks pretty. It's aesthetically pleasing because it goes with the whole like constellation and Starchildren thing. I get what the idea behind it was. I just think that it wasn't implemented that well. Also, as I said earlier about the different jobs, so a lot of the abilities you get are locked to specific jobs, and unfortunately, if you move to the higher level job and if you haven't completed the Star Cube, you don't get those old skills that you have for your previous job anymore. Some of them are locked to that particular job class. So once you progress and you don't have the Star Cube completed, you're not going to have those old skills anymore. So a lot of them are locked to that other one. So I didn't like that either. I thought it would be cool if I could keep all of my skills, no matter if I've learned it, I should be able to keep it as I can progress to this next particular job. And unfortunately you don't. So the job system is a little wonky, not really great how they implemented it. I think there's some definitely areas of which they could improve on, because I don't like the fact that I don't get any type of like stat boost from being in a certain job, and I don't like the fact that I don't get to keep all of my abilities from my previous job when I go to my next one. Especially when if they're in the same like class tree, they should be able to keep all my old stuff. I shouldn't have to like start from scratch pretty much. That's pretty much what happens when you go to the next advanced level. You pretty much start over from scratch in terms of what your abilities are, which sucks. So yeah, not really much incentivizing to like progress sometimes. Like at one point, like, I'm just gonna stay here. A lot of characters actually kept in their secondary class and then go to the third one. Like, what's the point? If I don't have all the stuff here, there's no point in progressing if I can't get it done. So it's like a lot of grinding is involved in this game. So if you love grinding and fighting and stuff, this game is definitely going to be for you. All right, let's talk about one last thing. I want to talk about the equipment system and the upgrading system. I wasn't really a fan of it because there's two things going on with upgrading this game. One, that there's like this gotcha element to it, to where if you upgrade your equipment too much to a certain level, it has a good or a bad rating on them. If the equipment is rated good, then that's fine, nothing really special happens. If the equipment is rated bad, they come with some stipulations. One of them is you're tied to a thing called breakdown. Breakdown is this game's version of poison. So you equip this weapon or this shield, and if it's rated bad, every turn you'll take damage, which I thought was awful because there's no real way to find out if it's gonna end up that way. It's kind of like, what's gonna happen? Oh no, it's bad. And it kind of sucks because a lot of the bad equipment has some really good stats and really good like abilities, but it offset the fact that you have breakdown is attached to it as well. One thing that I really appreciated was the fact that there's a couple of jobs that allow you to nullify all abnormalities, which is great because I can equip them with the bad weapons, but there's not that many classes that do that, unfortunately. So that kind of stuff. But I did like the fact that that ability worked not only in battle, but also worked when it came to equipment, equipped to me as well. All right, let's talk about the visuals and the audio. The audio for this game is kind of off in some places. The audio for the actual like sound effects and attacks and stuff sound incredible, impeccable. The audio for the actual dialogue is really up and down. Some characters sound really great, not in terms of like the actual like quality and stuff, just like the actual sound quality itself sound great. There's some sound really muffled. Like, I don't know, I think some people probably, what I'm assuming happening is that everybody recorded their stuff at home, and some people have better equipment than others, but I don't know, it should be like a standard of equipment you should have been using for this, because some people sound really weird and muffled and not quite as great audio wise, and some people sound exceptional and great. So I'm guessing that's probably what happened. I'm pretty sure they didn't record any of this stuff in the same place, which I get, because it's like right now with the pandemic, it's kind of hard to have everybody record in the studio. But the people who were at home that was recording this stuff and it sounded like trash, you should have not sent that in. You should have definitely redid it, or I don't know, just not have done that. If you're getting paid to be a part of this process and you're sending in shoddy work, like, no, it's just, it feels like everybody sounds the same. It would be easier to digest, but everybody sounds way different audio wise. So it's kind of like jarring when you hear certain characters like, oh, it sounds great, and then somebody like, why do you sound like that? So yeah, definitely audio is kind of weird. Music is kind of like forgettable. There's no real, I mean, the regular tracks sound okay. Nothing really stand out. It's very by the minutes music that you've heard just about any other sci-fi, action, or anime you've ever seen before. So nothing really special about that. So the voice acting in this game I thought was overall pretty good. I listened to the English dub for this game. I have not heard Japanese dub. I did that purposely because I wanted to hear the entire Japanese, the English cast, and not have the Japanese one like infect my brain and like make me just hate English. So I went like, okay, if I'm going to play this game, I'm going to play either one. So I just chose to play the English dub for this game, and overall it's pretty good. There were some characters I'm like, oh, this sounds kind of flat, or this sounds a little bland, or this sounds like kind of meh. I think most of the core characters, like a lot of the main characters, sound really good. Definitely Terra sounds really good. The voice actress for Himiko's really good. I think Himiko probably has some of the best voice lines in this game, honestly. She's just really dynamic and really fun and really great. Some was pretty good. Yeah, Himiko's probably stand out. Her and Terra are pretty much the best too. And I get they're kind of like the main hero and main heroine of the game. There's some people I'm just like, oh, this sounds kind of bad. Like, there's some characters that come in as like NPCs later. It just sounds so awful. It's like, what was happening here? I'm not going to blame the voice actor. I'm going to blame the voice actor, director, whoever's directing the voice overs for this game. I think you need to like really step it up for the next game if you happen to be on the next game, because boy, between the audio issues from the actual quality of the audio to the actual performances themselves, there was definitely some issues that came with the game. But overall, I think it's really done pretty well. The villains are just cartoonish and just so like Saturday morning cartoon sounding to where I can't even like take them seriously sometimes. So it's like, it took me out of the gravity and the gravitas of what was going on in the game because of how inconsistent some of the quality of the voice acting was. Alright, let's talk about the visuals for the game. The actual visuals for the mechs and the environments for the most part and in space are next level. This game looks so gorgeous. Like, these mechs look so well detailed, and it looks, I just kept staring at them like all the time. They're so pretty. And when you're fighting in space, oh, it's so gorgeous. It is like breathtaking. I think they did a great job with that. Some of the parts are not so great. It's like the environments when you're on land look really bland. Like, they didn't put as much time and effort into those. It does seem like they just put more of the effort into the space visuals, but the actual on land stuff looks kind of rough, kind of bland some places, not that great. But overall, like, the visuals, the animations are really good for the mechs, and the combat fighting stuff looks great. Now, the aesthetic for the conversations and dialogue, that's kind of a mixed bag for me. I know this is kind of like the visual novel style, but it just doesn't hold up really well a lot of places in the game, because they're trying to like convey these characters are touching each other, and they're not. It's like the standees are next to each other, and then when they talk, they don't have a lot of expression, and it's just really weird. It's like they're like little cutouts, like a puppet show. Like, it's like shadow puppets. It's kind of weird. I know a lot of games have done this. Some have done it better than other ones, but this, I think they could have done some other type of visual aesthetic to convey dialogue and cutscenes for this game. Maybe just do illustrations. That would have been better. Just do illustrations. That probably would have been more taxing to do. But yeah, I don't like how the conversations look in this game. It just looks so weird. Even when they're in their mechs, like, they're just standing there inside. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it just doesn't look visually pleasing when they're talking to each other. So yeah, I wasn't really a fan of that. But everything else, as far as visuals, mainly like the mechs themselves, the space battles, all that stuff looks so good. Just premium. Like, if you had told me, if I had known nothing about this game and just saw just the mechs part alone, I would consider just like something from like a really big AAA studio, because it looks that good. So my final thoughts on this game is that I think it's a really good game, especially for the fact that there's not a whole bunch of strategy RPGs out there. Definitely not a whole bunch that are catered to more of a sci-fi aesthetic, and definitely not that many with a mech like aesthetic. Like, there's very few of these. So if you're a fan of like Gundam or mechs, anime and stuff like that, definitely recommend this game. If you're into strategy RPGs, tactical RPGs, you want something new to play, definitely recommend this. It clocked in about, for me, 52 hours. That's just for the main story. There's also a whole new alternate storyline that you can play post game. So it's supposed to be like what if type of thing. So if you want like more game, there's plenty of games to play. Like, this game definitely has your bang for your buck. If you enjoy this type of game, you're gonna be playing this game for like maybe 100 hours probably. So yeah, definitely highly recommend this game, and I hope that they continue with this franchise and just continue to improve upon what they've already said here. Alright, tell me what you think about this game. Do you like it? Do you think it's cool? Do you think it's awesome? Do you think it's a complete trash? Let me know in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, share, and thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next video.
So remember, you're in my arena. So like, comment, and subscribe.